Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, largest and greatest crypto community and all of the interwebs. No channel is working harder to keep you in the know when it comes to crypto. It's the People's Channel. I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. Today is Tuesday, May 31st. We come to you Monday through Friday, usually 5:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about your favorite topics with, today at least, the best guests we've ever had in the history of the show. We're going to go ahead and start on the top right. Look, just because you see a bed behind him does not mean he is sleeping on crypto. But he probably is sleeping and eating in bed, it looks like. He spilled some cereal, I think. Then on the bottom right, make sure you check out his interview with John McAfee's widow. It's on his channel, RiceTVx. Really, really good content. You're going to want to see that. Who knows? It might get taken down, so definitely see it while you can. Then on the bottom left, he's in PR, and he just keeps setting personal records on some really, really good calls. Joe Parys, you're going to want to check out his channel. Then on the top left, he was talking to CNBC. Don't worry, it wasn't Jim Cramer's show. He didn't get to tell him he was wrong about Ethereum and Bitcoin. But we're going to be talking about 6 million Bitcoin holders still in the negative, even after this huge breakout. Speaking of breakouts, Cardano is on a run. Something about thyme, rosemary, or basil, maybe Vasil, who knows? We'll get into that. And then Fidelity, one of the largest asset managers in the entire world, maybe offering some Ethereum services. Let's get into that. But before we do, let's check out the markets and see what is going on with the prices. And it is looking a little bit better than it has been in recent memory. If you look at that 7-day, we were up 8% on Bitcoin, looking good, holding above 31.5. Even Ethereum is getting close to 2,000 again. Ben, I'm going to bring it to you. Is this that scam rally or a relief rally that we are due for? What are your thoughts on this current bounce back?
Yeah, I tend to think that we're going to see an extended. Oh, sorry, Bitcoin's been so boring lately.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see an extended relief rally here. I think this is going to go. Here is what I think is going to happen. I think Bitcoin is going to head back towards 36, maybe 38. Coach Mike from Chart Champion said today maybe 40. I think it's going to start heading back in that direction. And just when everybody's like, "Is this going to go back up? Like, are we going back to all-time highs? Like, is all of a sudden are the things bullish?" I think that'll be the point where we break again and break back to the downside. So I don't think this is going to be sustained. It could last a couple months potentially, where we range, kind of the same thing we did, right? Like we started at 40,000, we kind of ranged down to 38, 39 for a couple of weeks, and we ranged down to 37, 36, and we ranged down like 34, 35 until eventually it broke at like 31,000 and went all the way down to 25.5. So I can kind of see that doing the reversal on the way back up, like moving up $1,000 a week, basically, for several weeks in a row to kind of negate all those red weekly candles. And then we will probably get the drop closer to the midterms. That will be the final capitulation, potentially. Now, there is an argument. Maybe we already bottomed. I don't think so, but there is an argument.
Yeah, there is an argument for that. All right, now, despite all this positive price action, we have about 6 million wallets in the negative, 6.5 million still in the red, and it looks like the average price for these people in a loss, $40,000 Bitcoin. So we have plenty of people, millions of wallets, potentially millions of people still down quite a bit, even after we're at the $31,000 level. However, I mean, roughly 2% breaking even obviously leaves about 55%, in the profit even at this moment. Now, Joe, we have, like Ben said, we got a little pump going. But he also mentioned it was after many, many weeks of red action. What are the charts looking like to you? I mean, we just had so many red candles, gambler's fallacy. We're due for one. What are your thoughts?
Well, thanks, DZ, Ben, and the BitSquad for having me back on the show. Sincerely appreciate being here. Personally, to me, I do think that we are due for a bounce here. We're starting to see it. But I do want to be a little bit cautious. But there are some things that I'm really liking in the short term. First, the DXY is starting to trend down. That went super duper high. So now that's finally coming down. And I watched a video today where there's an argument that, going against Ben here a little bit, because, everyone's very, very bearish, right? Where, we get up to that 36, 38,000. We do a little fake out down. Everyone thinks, okay, that was it. We got up to 38,000. We're definitely going to 20 now. But then we get faked out the other way and we go even higher. And then the 25,000 was the bottom, right? So again, there are arguments that way. And I kind of I don't know. It's really difficult to say. And that's why, I wear the hoodie where it says just hodl it. And what I want to say too is that if you're in the red, right? Like the article said, a lot of people are in the red right now. That's typically not when you sell, right? Not financial advice, but it's buy the red, sell the green. When you're in profits, that's when you should be taking them and putting that money aside in case we do ultimately go lower. So how am I feeling personally? I'm kind of in between. The bull in me wants us to go back up. Things are looking good for that. The bear in me is still a little cautious with, all the other things that are happening in the world. But I like to be a little bit more optimistic. And I think that we need to pay attention. We need to see what's happening, not only with Bitcoin, but a lot of these other altcoins, these other projects that we're going to be talking about here on the show that may, move us back towards the upside. So I like to be a glass half full kind of guy.
Yeah, no, some of the half empty people, they do have some ammunition. You kind of mentioned some of that. There are reasons to be bullish, but a few reasons to be bearish. We haven't hit the 200-week moving average, which is typically signals a bottom for it's roughly 4 years. Also, the 200-day moving average is all the way at 43,000. Now, Mac, let's say you bought around the 200-day moving average. You're in the 40s, maybe even 50s. You see Bitcoin now, it's down 25, 33% from where you got in at. What would your advice be to someone who, they kind of still are interested in it, but should they DCA to get their average price lower? Should they move to alts? I mean, should they try DeFi? What would your advice be to someone who's like maybe looking to put in a little bit extra, but they bought in higher and they kind of feel bad? A little mute. You might want to unmute there. He hit the button, folks. Nope. Oh, got Cray. We might have to come back to you on that one. Feel free. Man, unfortunately, none of us could read lips. If you're in chat, please first hit that like button. Second, make sure you're subscribed, and then transcribe everything he's saying. Do we have audio? No. Okay, BJ saying no. All right, well, Rice, we're gonna move on. You know what? I'll ask you the same question. You got in at higher. You got in at 43. You got in at 50 even. You kind of want to hedge your bets. I mean, do you go in on cheap alts because they look attractive? Do you lower your target here? What advice, general advice, would you give to someone?
Okay, well, first of all, thanks again for having me back on Around the Blockchain, and I do appreciate you talking about the Janice McAfee interview. I do encourage people to check that out and also to sign that change.org petition to release John's body. But to answer your question, it really would depend on someone's strategy. If we're talking about Bitcoin alone and just using that as the example, and someone bought in at higher prices, then while the prices have gone down lower, it would be smart to accumulate at these lower prices to bring your dollar cost average price a little bit lower. That would be a good, smart strategy. Now, most of the time when we're dealing with investments, especially in a traditional world, and crypto is obviously different because we have all this volatility. But with that being said, normally investments are, even on a short term, 3 to 4 year investments, usually like 10-year or even longer. So for people to expect instantaneous gratification is absolutely ridiculous. And it's obviously, this kind of reminds me a little bit about midpoint or early 2018 when people were buying it at 20 and the price started going down and a lot of people were underwater. Well, if those people would have just kept holding and hodling their coins, then ultimately they would have been in the green and it would have paid off for them. Obviously, like everyone has mentioned, you don't want to sell when you're in the negative. You're losing ultimately. And then when you sell, there's another buyer. But really what people need to understand is these bear markets, these too shall pass ultimately. Let me look and see. Okay. Oh, Mac. Okay, I saw a note. I was making sure it wasn't to me. So yeah, I would just say this too shall pass. Zoom out. Look to the long term. It reminds me of Piano Matty B when he would sing at the end of his little song on his videos and say, "Zoom out. It's a wonderful day." So just zoom out and really, start to realize why you got involved in crypto. If you got in this to make more dollars, then, you're playing a crazy game of hot potatoes right now, and it's not very much recommended. But if you're hedging against what's coming, which is the fall of the fiat currency, then definitely this is the way to go, in my opinion. And there's other aspects of things that I've mentioned you can invest.
BitBoy Crypto Morning Tea, yay! Hit that like button if you missed that little jingle there. All right, Mac. Rice kind of answered the question. If you want to stay with Bitcoin, if you come in now, you'll lower your average buy price. if you wanted to hedge your bets and diversify your crypto portfolio, what's just one or two, blue chip alts that, you would feel comfortable saying, I don't think this is a rug pull? What are some of your favorites?
Some of my favorites, and I think my audio is back here. Rice, you had a better answer than me, so I'm glad we got to go to you for that one. But so now for other things that are maybe outside your traditional blue chips, I'd look at what type of infrastructure is going to be needed for crypto to make the next step. And the one project that I always think is interesting for a long-term bet is something like Chainlink. Oracle solutions will be needed to kind of make the next step of on-chain applications. Bringing in real-world data into the blockchain is critical for building out a lot of these kind of next implementations. And Chainlink's been around, and I think they're going to continue to be around. And that's the type of project that can sustain the extended bear market. But again, with all altcoins, right? If we do think that the rest of the crypto market may fall, then I think you can anticipate that the same thing will happen with your altcoins. So personally, I think this is the time kind of to buy into the things that you truly believe in. If you are in the people that are at this 40, 43 price point, that does mean that you didn't panic sell, right? The fact that you didn't panic sell means that you do have some sort of conviction. So think about, okay, what was my conviction? Why didn't I panic sell? Was it purely because I forgot to sell, or was it because maybe I did believe in the asset that I was holding? Maybe I did sell some other things, but I did believe in Bitcoin. So consider what your conviction was and currently is, and if that has changed. And if you think it would, if it does drop below that 2026 mark that we saw it hit, does that change anything? Because I don't think the price should be an indicator to your conviction. I think the kind of the macro things that are happening in crypto should be the indicator of your conviction.
That's a good point. The price shouldn't be the indicator for your conviction. I like that. Someone put that on a t-shirt. Put it in your background, Mac. All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little Cardano breakout. I wanted to pull up the chart. It, at one point, was up 25%. I just want to splash some water, a wet blanket, if you will. Like, look, okay, we have had a good time, but let's zoom out, if we go at 3 months even. But if we look at the 1 day, looks really good. Looks really good. That's when you saw it touching that 25-30% gain. Saw huge gains with Cardano. Talking with some of the more tech-oriented people here, they are actually literally excited for the Visil hard fork. This is, their next leg of upgrading. We're not going to get into the technical details because it gets bogged down with the details of crypto, even more so with Cardano. But they're going to be releasing the test net soon, and then about 4 weeks later is when it might go live. So if everything runs smoothly for this test net, it's looking like, maybe the price is reflecting that people are happy about this. Now, Joe, Cardano had a really, really big boost in the beginning of the bull run. I remember getting in under $1, not 2 cents, not 3 cents. Like I wish, some hit that like button if you did get in there, but I rode it up above $1, sold a little early, went all the way up to 3. Very, very large market cap as well. Is that possible this time around, or will it require Bitcoin to have another leg up for it to reach those all-time highs?
Well, I think that if it's going to go back to its all-time highs, the market is completely different than when it was when it reached its all-time highs, and there's completely different speculation as well. I will say, though, for people who are holding Cardano, Cardano's got one of the biggest and most vocal and just a community that, if you're looking for one of those coins that just is going to continue on its roadmap and is going to continue to just keep releasing things, whether it takes forever or whatnot, it's definitely, it's going to be around. And the truth is like we're seeing a nice little buy the rumor kind of event here. So that could be why we've seen some green. And the main net is still a month away. So it's going to be interesting to see the speculation, right? Do I think it's going to run all the way back to all-time highs in the current market conditions? If Bitcoin goes, I'm with you, DZ. I think that it has a chance to definitely go back to $1. But I do think that, if you look back only about a year or two ago, it was at a penny, which is absolutely insane. And I was one of the lucky ones. I bought just $1,000 worth of it at 10 cents, and I've still been holding it. So, would have been great to sold at $3, but I mean, look, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. I think people are excited about it. And if we're being honest, with smart contracts and the way that Sunday swap went, there was a lot of congestion and it's still growing. I think we all want this instant, we want it to work, right? And I do think that there are some good things that are happening. I think it's going to take a little bit more time, but I think this is positive. I think that, any sort of green right now we will take, and let's take it to the bank, right?
All right. Well, Ben, Joe brought up the buy the rumor, sell the news. Joe knows a lot of people spreading rumors. I know Corn Pop's always spreading some rumors. So with this buy the rumor, sell the news narrative, is it possible that, with this month, it will go up and gain Satoshis? Because the way I see it, if it gains, Satoshis, it's not because of good news, it's because of the market. So everything can run smoothly, no one will care. One thing goes wrong, price might tank. I mean, what are the odds? What's your breakdown of this, this 4-week test period they have to see if everything does go as planned?
Well, I always said one of Cardano's strongest suits, best assets back in the last bear market was they had built nothing yet. Like that was actually something that, that worked for them. You know why? Because you had Tron and EOS out there that were getting picked apart by tech people and developers and saying that, well, actually now this is out, it'll never do better than Ethereum and all this. And, there's a video I made with Altcoin Daily back in 2018 or 2019 when we were together for this Tron event in San Francisco. And they interviewed me and asked me. And back then I said, hey, the fact that people can't pick up apart, that's a positive thing. Well, fast forward to today, that's no longer the case. That they do have a working project, a working chain, NFTs live on Cardano. We're seeing some DeFi activity with Cardano. So, they certainly are opening themselves up to get, criticized more. I mean, if you've never done anything, you don't get criticized, except they did get criticized for not doing anything. But, for to be fair, in their slow roadmap. But I think that ultimately, what we're going to see, there's no better definition of buy the rumor, sell the news, or no better time frame than a bear market. Bear market, anytime there's big news, you're going to see price move because there's very low volume. It doesn't take much to move it to the upside. And then you're going to realize, people are they still know we're in a bear market, so they're not going to buy right now, and then the price will plummet back down. So I tend to think that's what we'll see for Cardano. Enjoy these short-term gains. If you got in, in 40 cents or something, maybe you're doing really great right now, wherever the low was, and maybe you want to take some profits. We're going to see a cycle within this bear market of coins having kind of outlier pumps and then moving back down to the mean. So I do think that's what we'll see, and it's not an indictment on Cardano. It's generally what we tend to see in this market.
Yeah. All right. Now, Mac, one of our resident NFT experts, I know we have talked personally about Cardano NFTs compared to Ethereum NFTs. One of your, main points was the developers, there's just not quite as many. But at this point, though, we have reached about 5 million NFTs minted on Cardano. We have new projects coming out every single day. Has your thoughts on the Cardano landscape changed, or is it, a code is a code is a code, and if not that many people want to learn it, it's just going to be difficult? Are more people starting to learn Plutus, the underlying code here, or is it still kind of the same as it was 3-4 months ago?
It's I guess it's challenging for me to say as an engineer because the people around me are still building on Ethereum, and that's probably just a product of me as a builder, right? I tend to gravitate towards building in the Ethereum ecosystem. But I do think as more and more engineers enter this space, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and it was like about 50% of engineers want to get into crypto and Web3. So as the overall pool of talent who are in this space increases, because I bet that number a year or 2 years ago was a fraction of that. So as that number increases and they start kind of picking their native network, there's going to be an increase of developers just as a result of a larger pool of people. So I think from Cardano's side, from any of these networks, they have to incentivize developers and just make it as humanly easy as possible to build on these networks. And kind of from an engineering perspective, why is it so important to have a thriving engineering network when you're building on these things? Well, if you're in a traditional Web 2 role and you have a problem, you can Google on Stack Overflow what the solution is. And more times than not, somebody else has faced this problem. Now, the problem that you face while engineering in Web 3 is that a lot of these problems are cutting edge and they haven't necessarily been solved yet. So the other week when I was working on a problem, I was working on it Friday night. The solution didn't get posted to Stack Overflow until Saturday morning. And then I came back and I found the solution that didn't exist 24 hours ago. And this was on Ethereum. So now when you're working on other chains that may have a less flourishing engineering community, it's a lot more challenging to troubleshoot and build on these networks because these solutions haven't necessarily been figured out. So these are just some things that I look at when I'm building, and it is challenging even in Ethereum. So I can imagine on some of these other less robust chains, it's even more difficult.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, more and more people put stuff on a GitHub, on a Stack Overflow. It kind of piles up, and then you're just working on the shoulders of the giants before you. All right, Rice, real last, I want to bring up this the ranking chart from CoinMarketCap one quick time here. And we have Cardano, the number 6 altcoin, really number 4 if we take away stablecoins. What are your thoughts on the longevity of Cardano, you know, thriving in a system as the world is getting more regulations, more bannings, more hacks? You know, where do you see Cardano 2 years from now?
I see Cardano still existing. I mean, if we're thinking about on cryptocurrencies and a lot of them potentially going away, I don't see Cardano ADA being one of those. And shout out to the ADA gang because, yeah, number 6 spot, it actually overtook XRP, really close in market cap right now. So, I mean, obviously, there's going to probably be some flip-flop action going on. But, you know, something that we got to consider is we got the testnet taking place on June the 2nd with the mainnet launching on June the 29th. I definitely feel that this is going to go, it's going to go through as announced, because Charles is planning on being at Decentral in Austin, Texas next week, and planning on being at Consensus, speaking at both events. I'm sure he's going to be talking about it, obviously. So bringing that much attention to it, I would think they're going to be ready to go with this and not have any sort of delays. Any sort of layer 1 protocols that are competing against Ethereum right now, with the launch of Ethereum 2.0 happening and all the question of if there are going to be any bugs or any sort of problems, or is it going to solve the problems that ETH is currently having? So people are going to be speculating with these other layer 1 blockchains that are competing against Ethereum, especially the ones that have the EVM capability. So, and we also got to think that Charles Hoskinson is one of the co-founders of Ethereum. So I really feel like of all these layer 1 projects, you're going to see a lot more technical use case and longevity out of things like Cardano and Polkadot versus the other layer 1s, in my opinion. But again, shout out to the ADA gang.
All right. Yeah. And I looked at that market cap, very, very close, 20 billion,
It's
0.3, and then 20 billion, 0.24. I mean, very, very close there. So
right, it could flip,
yeah, I mean,
instant. It could flip while we're talking.
Half of, yeah, exactly. It'd be changed by the end of the show. All right, let's move on. Final topic here. We have a huge asset manager getting into crypto custody. Fidelity, number 4 asset manager worldwide, not just America, and over $4.5 trillion in assets with a T here. So huge company. This isn't just a mom and pop little financial services company here. And they want to offer custody and trading of Ethereum and other cryptos. And this is breaking by the Wall Street Journal just earlier here. Ben, I'm going to go ahead and just cut to the chase here. They have $4.5 trillion in assets. What are the odds of them building a crypto reserve?
That's a great question. I mean, I think any company today is smart to do that. I think they need to build one. Obviously, while the Bitcoin is free flowing before the halving, once the halving occurs, we're going to see the new Bitcoin going into supply cut in half. Layman's terms, that's about 900 per day are being introduced in circulation today. In 2024, the back half of the year, the number cuts all the way down to 450. So there will come a time where there's not really enough liquidity from new Bitcoin to support the market. And obviously that means that, you know, miners will be selling it, and they'll be selling it for very high rates. You know, and then of course, you know, I mean, think about 2 halving cycles from now, you know, when that number's all the way down, you know, eventually below 200 per day, to go all the way down to, you know, around 100 per day in like 3 cycles from now. It's really crazy to think about that supply crunch and what that means. So if they're going to do it, I mean, what a better time to do it than right now? I think they're going to be kicking themselves later if they don't. So
yeah.
Obviously they would need that reserve on their treasury to be able to serve as custody and be able to back up what they have in their accounts. So I don't know, it's just very interesting. Fidelity's always so boring to me, though. Like welcome to crypto banks.
Yeah, I mean, even some of this news should be exciting. They're hiring 200 people, 100 of them tech workers, a lot of customer service, 400 clients, hedge funds, asset managers. But you just say the word Fidelity in there, it's just like your brain instantly thinks of old 1990s investment commercials.
Yeah.
All right, now, Joe, I don't think most degens are getting excited about this. Like Ben said, it's boring. I'm asking the basement. They don't care. The cockroaches, so you got shot. They don't, it's Fidelity. They're not going to use them anyways. But what about that older crowd that kind of has trust issues with crypto? Will this actually serve as a real vehicle for serious money to flow into crypto?
I think for some it will, but I think what's really important to take out of this is the fact that you really need to educate yourself with cryptocurrency, and just by taking your money and going, here you go, Fidelity, like you can, manage my crypto for me and just kind of like hold on to it. I don't think that's the right approach. And even if you are older, I think it's really important to understand what you're doing with your money, right? Because, especially with a new digital asset like cryptocurrency, it definitely needs to be something that you're paying attention to, because there is still a lot of volatility. I think that some people, would prefer just, hey, look, you take care of this, I'll, $100 a week, whatever it might be. And that might be a better situation for them. But personally, I think that there needs to be more education. And what I do think is good about Fidelity doing this, though, is that they are such a big company. This is going to overall give the cryptocurrency space a lot more credibility, right? So it's not just like some random company like, oh yeah, a couple $100 million and we're gonna hold some Bitcoin here. It's like, no, there's $4.5 trillion that they're holding. They're serious about this. Like you said, there's 200 developers coming in. This is a big deal for that reason, and I do think that while I personally am one to lean towards, look, you need to educate yourself. You need to hold your own keys, not your crypto, right? You need to pay attention to that. I do think that there are some people that just like, look, I just want some exposure to this. I trust Fidelity, right? That's the key here, is like they do trust them because of their reputation. And from that reason, I do think that it can be positive for people, but I don't think that you're right. The degens are going to be running to Fidelity to go buying their crypto.
All right. Well, speaking of exposing oneself to crypto assets, that is, Mac, they said they're going to expose themselves to other digital assets as well. You'd mentioned Chainlink. We're running a little short on time. Real quick, what are some other hot alts? I say hot, but really safe and effective blue chip alts that you also think that they'll be offering here besides Chainlink?
As we learned from the previous Luna fiasco, some alts that you think may be safe may not actually be safe. So just a little word to the wise right there. But some of the ones that I hold and I like are Chainlink, Aave for a lending platform. That's what I use the majority of my DeFi lending on. That's where I borrow. I leverage Polygon on Aave itself. And I think maybe that's something Fidelity wants to get into. My guess is no, primarily because some of their business is this lending, right? You can borrow on your equity when you're using Fidelity. So I think they need to walk before they run. And with that comes owning Bitcoin, owning Ethereum on their balance sheet if they decide to go that route. I think if they're gonna custody some coins and kind of help people get invested, I think it does make sense because they would have already had the infrastructure needed to have it on their own balance sheet. So I think they can kind of kill two birds with one stone by building that out. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not gonna. I don't think they're getting into alts anytime soon.
I thought you were gonna say Ethereum Classic. Oh well, that's what I get for guessing. All right, Rice. Last bit here. Let's talk 401ks. Fidelity is one of their main services that they offer. They have, in America, over $7 trillion in 401ks. 60 million participants. Are 401ks still a good investment? And if not, how do we convince people otherwise?
I mean, that's a really good question. And I do study economics, but I can't really say for sure if these are going to last forever. But allocating taking a portion of your allocation and putting it into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is definitely something that I think is long-term bullish. As much as I am not a fan of legacy finance at all, there are still a lot of people who don't want to take self-responsibility and do like custodial services. Crypto is meant to get rid of the middleman, but this is obviously keeping the middleman involved. We're going to see a lot more of legacy finance going towards crypto, the crypto banking, custodial services, lending, DeFi elements. It's going to be incorporated because ultimately the entire system is shifting and changing. And in order for these institutions to remain relevant, they're going to have to offer what people want, and that is cryptocurrency. So I'll keep it short because I know it's about to end the show. I do appreciate everybody for tuning in. Smash that like button.
Give the people what they want. And it looks like Joe gave the people what they wanted. You are in the lead, 18 points. Great episode, Joe. Feel free. Lead us, ease us back into the week with some words of wisdom, friend.
Well, thanks, DZ, BitSquad. Make sure to smash up the like button. Make sure to follow all the guests down below as well. Just grateful to be here. And yeah, let's take the green week, the start to the week at least. And yeah, just really, keep doing your research, keep studying up. And I think crypto is going to be here a little while longer. So keep up the good work, everyone.
Keep doing that research. Let's find that next Cardano at 1 penny. Until next time, BitSquad. DZ out.